And from one PBA legend and former national team member to another, we now have here with us live on Sportsdesk again, our resident basketball analyst, the point laureate, and a PBA legend, Coach Ronnie Magsanoc. Coach, good morning. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you, very good morning.
Always a pleasure to have you here. Okay, let's talk about the final 12 we saw earlier, yung lineup. Your initial thoughts, Coach, and may mga surprises ba sa'yo doon? Kasi ang daming guards in this lineup. Yung last cuts nga were big, si Bo Belga and si Poy Eram. Also si Matthew Wright wasn't able to make the lineup, the final 12. What were your initial thoughts on this final 12 ni Coach Yang?
We always have to base the final selection on the 19-man pool that was the basic national pool that was drawn up by Coach Yang. So, hindi mo naman pwede si Stanley Pringle, hindi naman pwede si Stan Hardinger. Nasaktan si Matthew Wright, nasaktan si Poy Eram. So, 19 minus 4, that will leave you with 15. So, sino na lang
Clarkson,
yun?
wala din yung Clarkson.
Wala rin si Clarkson. So, ibig sabihin, it was a choice of Bo Belga and Raymond Almasan eventually. Kasi si Bo is a big man. So, kung titignan mo, kumpleto na talaga eh. This is a totally different take from the 2014 team because that team was built around Jimmy Elapag, Jason Castro, and of course, Andre Blatch. Ito naman, Andre Blatch is still the cornerstone, but then with a different coach and a different system. So, makikita mo lahat attacking guards lahat combo guards. But of course, mayroong sprinkling ng good shooters, pati sa bigs who can space the floor dahil critical ito in our campaign to win 2 games dito sa ating Group D.
Being a former national team member yourself, former, of course, point guard that played for the national team in numerous international competitions. Ano yung, do you like this lineup?
Of course, of
Like
course.
this lineup?
Based on what El Presidente said earlier, this is the best possible lineup, the strongest lineup na pwedeng magawa ni Coach Yang dahil sa ibinigay nga ng PBA yung pagkakataon na makapili sa mas malawak na national pool. At anytime a head coach decides on what lineup to bring, it is always well thought of. There's always a plot and there's always a plan. At naniniwala ako na based on what we have seen of Coach Yang Giao in the last 2 decades in the PBA or even more, ito yung mga klase ng players who fits into his system, who can make each other better, and we can compete at the highest level, especially here in the World Cup stage.
Daanan natin yung guards, Coach. Kiefer Ravena, Mark Baroka, Paul Lee, Robert Bolick, CJ Perez. How's the rotation gonna be like for Coach Yang?
It really depends on the matchup that's going to happen. Of course, the first match will be against Italy, followed by the match against Serbia, and then against Angola. So kung sino yung dapat matapat, yun ang i-start. But it's a very guard-oriented lineup. Pero guards who can play multiple positions, who are scoring guards. But what you like about the guards right now, they are bigger and hopefully they are quicker dahil mas bata sila with Bolick and CJ Perez there in the roster who can play and defend the world caliber athletes of the opposing teams dahil you just not only look at the NBA players, the other parts of the rosters of the 3 teams that we will face are seasoned and high caliber international players who played around the globe in the last decade and a half. Hindi lang sila experienced, hindi lang sila decorated, kung hindi, mahuhusay sila. Hindi lang as big name players as the NBA players, pero magagaling talaga itong mga to. Saka batak sa laro sa international stage. And this will be the rotation that Coach Yang will use, that array of guards who are really good individually. And hopefully can match up against the best guards of the other 3 teams.
Wala nga tayong designated shooter dito or deadly shooter, but we have, of course, may R. Pugoy ka, may Troy Rosario ka, Japet and Raymond and other forwards are also, kumbaga, may lisensya na tumira from the outside. Sabi nga ni Troy nung interview when he was here a few days ago, na may lisensya lahat. Once they're open, binigyan ni Coach Yang to shoot. Gano'n ka-importante yung outside shooting, especially for us against these taller teams?
Alam mo, mula pa nung panahon dati kung saan nakapasok tayo sa Olympics, nagko-compete tayo sa World Cup almost regularly, talagang importante talaga yan dahil hindi tayo kalakihan eh. So ano ang bala mo? Bilis at outside shooting. Pag wala ka nun at wala kang taas, hindi ka talaga makakalayo. But right now, we have proven that we belong to the world stage because we have those following characteristics. We have good shooters, we have tall centerpiece and Andre Blatch, and that makes us a competitive team even in this stage. So naniniwala ako na yung mga pangalang binanggit mo, lahat yan pag may kumpiyansa yung coach sa'yo na tumira ka lang, basta maayos naman at within the flow of the offense, meron kang ipapakita. At saka, I've seen them work in the last 2 weeks. The system that Coach Yeng has put in encourages you to take your shots within the flow of the offense. And more than that, that is to also make the other team, especially the taller opposition, work hard in defending the three-point line and stepping out of the paint. Dahil pag nakaparada sila sa loob, paano kung makakapasok kung hindi ka tatama sa labas? Hindi sila alis doon.
Pag-usapan natin yung malaking mama natin sa loob. Junmar Fajardo, we know he can dominate. He dominates the PBA.
Right.
He's a 5-time PBA MVP. At this point in his career, do you think he can do the same here sa FIBA World Cup?
He may not be a dominant factor the way he has been dominating the opposition dito sa PBA, but he is a good partner with Andre Blatch. Kasi hindi naman kaya ni Andre maglaro. O maski kaya niya, kailangan mong ipahinga so that the quality of his game hindi bababa. And Junmar, I think, is the best in that position. He may not dominate Jokic or Boban Marjanovic, but I think he can play a good 6-7 minutes dun sa ipapahinga ni Andre Blatch with nothing given by the Gilas Pilipinas. Meaning, nandun yung level. Yun lang naman ang gusto mo. Kung hindi ka mag-start, hindi bababa, hindi lalaylay. Nandun lang. It's either mailalamang mo o may papantay mo lang. And Junmar is the best player in our shores, no? Hands down. At actually, in the last 2 years, nakita ko si Junmar, iba na ang laro niya sa international stage. Maatake na, ang laki ng pinayat. At higit sa lahat, alam na niya that this is his prime because in 2023, he will no longer be the young player that he is right now.
Yeah.
And he wants to maximize this opportunity because in the undertone of this competition, of just making it to the next round, there is that motivation that if we end up as the top Asian team dito sa World Cup, meron tayong chance makalaro sa isa pang qualifying tournament to get to the Olympics. It is not just to beat Italy and get to the next round and finish at a high position. It is to be the top Asian team outside of Japan, which is hosting the Olympics. Of course, mas mahina yung grupo ng China dahil sila yung pumili ng mga kalaban nila. Pero meron tayong pagkakataon. Ang importante, meron tayong chance. Dahil dati wala tayong chance. But in the last 2 stages of the World Cup, we've had those opportunities. And now, once again, we're knocking at the door for a possible chance to be the top Asian team dito sa World Cup.
Coach, our main guy, arguably, is still our naturalized player, Andre Blatch.
Of course.
Hands down. What should we expect, yung realistic expectations kay Andre Blatch? And also, yung kumbaga, and at the same time, we shouldn't rely on Andre to do so much for us.
I think the premise is simple. When he did not play for us in the Asian Games, even with Jordan Clarkson in harness, we were not able to make it to the podium. But with him, we were able to come back dito sa qualifiers and able to survive yung humps and obstacles and eventually made it back to the world stage. So, iba yung nadadala niya. Pareho silang NBA players, pero si Andre Blatch kasi matangkad. A big man who can handle the ball and who can defend also the paint. At siya yung pinaka-matangkad, siya yung pinaka-may experience. At siguro, kung titignan natin, to be blunt about it, sa kanya may pinaka-respeto yung mga kalaban. Top of mind sa scouting report yan di ba? Kasi,
Siyempre.
saka nasa prime pa siya. So, yes, we don't want to put too much load on him, but it's plain and simple. Sa kanya talaga tayo sasandal. Sa mga balikat talaga niya tayo aasa dahil at least 30 to 35 minutes probably ang ilalaro ni Andre Blatch, especially doon sa unang laban. Kasi yun ang parang championship natin Pag nalaglag ka ron, kailangan talunin mo yung Serbia at Angola. Pag nakalusot ka ron, hindi ka makalusot sa Serbia, at least sa Angola, you have another fighting chance. So, yun talaga, isang buhos yan At ano man ang sabihin ng iba na hindi pwedeng umasa ng husto kay Andre Blatch, para sa akin, aasa ako ng gusto kay Andre Blatch.
This time, Coach Ronnie will talk about some of the dream matchups all of us would want to see in this year's World Cup. Let's start against Italy. Troy Rosario versus NBA player Danilo Gallinari.
Alam mo, Dre, para sa mga national players, at the back of their minds, parang kinikilig ka rin dahil makakasama mo yung mga yan di ba? Previous to this world stage, we lost the chance to play against Spain. Diba sana nakalaro mo na lang sila Marc Gasol. Eto, when you go to that battle, tatanggalin mo na yan Pero sa loob-loob mo, wow. Diba? Kalaro mo, you have a chance to beat them, and you have a chance to compete against them in every possession na magkakatapat kayo. And I'm sure Troy Rosario is looking forward to going head-to-head dito sa isa sa pinakamahusay na players sa history ng Italy.
Nalaman ba si Troy dito kay Galo?
Oo naman. Oo. Ang mabigat lang kasi, syempre, di pangalan talaga si Gallinari. And looking at the last 12 games na nilaro nila prior to the competition, siya talaga yung primary scorer at best big man. Dahil lang kung may kahinaan man itong Italy sa nakikita ko, yung rotation sa bigs, kumonte. At si Troy Rosario, ang isa sa inaasahan natin na hindi lang muka ng future ng Philippine basketball sa national team, kundi dito pa lang tumapat. At alam naman natin, gutom na gutom ito, pati si Roger Pogue dahil sa mga ilang tournaments na hindi sila nakasali because of what happened in the past.
Let's go to RR Pugoy and another NBA player, Marco Bellinelli. Maganda to.
Maganda yan. Bellinelli is a dead shot. Bellinelli is a certified NBA player. But RR Pugoy's game in the last year and a half has been really exemplary. No? So this is the biggest stage para sa Pilipinas, and to have a chance to have that nice shooting comparison, if you want to put it that way, perfect chance para kay Roger Pogue to showcase himself as the best knockdown shooter para sa Team Pilipinas against the top 3-point shooter of Italy in Marco Bellinelli.
Now let's go to another big man matchup. Japet Aguilar versus Luigi Datome.
Datome is the third NBA player in the roster of Italy. Played for, I believe, Detroit and the Celtics a few years back. Comebacking ito, nawala ito sa lineup ng Italy. At hindi magiging madali para kay Japet Aguilar, but he has to make sure that he stays aggressive against a bruiser. Dahil brusko maglaro itong si Datome. He may not score a lot, but he can provide impact plays with his defense, with his rebounding. At si Japet Aguilar, with the experience, one of several holdovers from the 2014 team, has that ability and capacity. At kumbaga, tingin ka muna sa kabila. Pag nakita mong yun ang katapat mo, tapangan mo na lang dahil this is kumbaga, the best and only chance that you will have to beat a team from Italy na tinitingnan ko in the next World Cup in 2023 may not have the same players anymore because of the age factor.
Now we're going to take a look at some of the dream matchups in the FIBA World Cup this time. Our dream matchups against Serbia. Let's start with the Kraken, Junmar Fajardo versus Boban Marjanovic.
7'6", saka 6'11". Ganda yan. Mas mabilis si Junmar dyan. Mas mahaba lang si Marjanovic. And I think napakagandang matchup nito kasi parehong mahusay sa loob eh. Parehong back to the basket player. Pabilisan silang tumakbo. At tignan natin kung magulangan ni Junmar dun sa mga galaw niya. But this is the best rim protector para sa Serbia dito sa ating matchup against them.
Now let's go to Gabe Norwood versus Bogdan Bogdanovic. Another good matchup. Ganda nito.
Bogdanovic has been outstanding para sa Serbia before he went up to the NBA. But Gabe Norwood has had that numerous experience going up against the best players in the world way back in 2014. And he has been a fixture sa mga teams sa national pool, sa World Cup competition at least. That I'm sure he's looking forward to defending one of the top shooters, not just for Serbia, but in the whole of the NBA. Ano to eh? Automatic pag humawak ng bola at saka mataas ang kumpiyansa nitong si Bojan Bogdanovic.
And lastly, Andre Blatch versus Nikola Jokic.
Well, the Joker is one of the top centers in the NBA. He was still gangling at 21 in 2014, but right now he's a totally different player. And he will be probably tasked to defend Andre Blatch dahil very mobile ito. But Andre Blatch is also a legit NBA talent. And I know that he will try to bring out Jokic from his comfort zone dun sa ilalim para matake niya from the outside going in. And I'm sure Andre Blatch is looking forward to facing off against these big-name players for Serbia, which finished second to the U.S. in 2014, but has won 2 World Cup championships to its name sa history nila playing in the World Cup.
Coach Ronnie, always a pleasure. We'll be excited to see our games sa World Cup. Thank you, Coach. Again, we just had Sportsdesk basketball analyst, PBA legend, and former national team player, Coach Ronnie Magsanoc.